11 days. That was how much time was left until the wedding. I stood outside the bridal planning office, clutching the final confirmation sheet I'd just printed. Then the car came. There was no slow motion, no cinematic grace, just one raw, merciless second. The shriek of brakes, the collision, and then the asphalt coming up hard against my palms and knees. The confirmation sheet tore from my hand and scattered across the road, black ink on white paper, swallowed by the gutter. I lay face down on the ground, ears ringing, vision blown white, and forced my head up with everything I had. That was when I saw Ethan running. He was coming from the far end of the parking lot. I reached up my hand. Vivian, look at me. My arm was still suspended in midair. Vivian. I had forgotten she was here, all three of us on the same street at the same moment. I couldn't work out why, couldn't work out anything. It was as if something had reached inside my skull and wrung it out, leaving nothing behind but a faint, nauseating stillness. Ethan lifted her, pressed his forehead to hers, spoke her name in a voice I had never once heard him use with me, low and broken and desperate, like a man who had just understood what it meant to be afraid of losing something. Then he turned to the driver waiting at the curb. The car door opened, closed, and they were gone. He didn't look back, not once. The parking lot settled back into silence. My confirmation sheet floated in the gutter. My knee was bleeding. I could feel it now, warm and slow, tracking down my shin, soaking into my sock. I don't know how long I stayed down there. I know I called Ethan 6 times. Each one dissolved into an endless holding tone. It was a food delivery driver who got me to the hospital, his insulated bag still stacked in the backseat, orders still undelivered. "It is fine," he said. "You first." I sat with my jaw clenched the whole ride, grinding my back teeth together, refusing to cry, because crying would make it real. The orthopedic exam room smelled of antiseptic and recycled air. I sat on the examination table and watched the doctor write on my chart. Ethan called while the doctor was still writing. I answered before the second ring. "Let's push the paperwork. We'll sort it another time." I sat very still, certain I had misheard. "Ethan, I was hit by a car today outside the venue office. I am at the hospital." A beat. Then, not alarm, not a sharp intake of breath, but a particular variety of impatience, the kind reserved for interruptions at inconvenient moments. "What? How did that happen? How bad is it?" "My knee." "Okay, stay there, let them treat it. Don't walk around on it. The wedding stuff can wait. There is something going on my end. I'll explain later." "Ethan, I need to. You need to rest. Stop overthinking. I'll call you." He hung up. I set the phone face down on my thigh and stared at the health awareness poster on the opposite wall. A family, grinning, perfect, assembled in primary colors. I stared at it until the edges went soft. "Stop overthinking." I found him the moment I came through the emergency lobby doors. Ethan was at the nurse's station, voice pitched louder than I had ever heard it in public, knuckles nearly wrapping the desk. "Get the attending physician now. She cannot stand on that leg. I don't care what your protocol says. She is in pain and someone needs to see her immediately." Vivian stood at his side with one hand curled loosely around his sleeve, her lashes lowered, a barely there smile at the corner of her mouth. Her dress was cream white, not a stain on it, not a fold out of place from collar to hem, as pristine as something just lifted from tissue paper. Her hair was exactly as it must have been this morning. She looked like a woman who had spent the afternoon in a garden, not in the path of a moving vehicle. I looked down at myself, mud-smeared trousers, a torn open hole at the knee, the gauze beneath it soaked through to soft pink, gravel still caught in the canvas of my sneakers. I called his number. He turned. 2 full seconds of blankness, then his brow came down, not with guilt, not with the sudden horror of a man who has only just understood what he has done, with irritation, the specific reflexive frown of a person confronted with an inconvenience. "What are you doing here? I told you to stay put." He dropped his voice like he was managing a situation, like I was a variable that needed to be contained. "Actually, good timing. You know the department head here, don't you? Call in that favor, get someone decent down here to see Vivian." His eyes hadn't dropped to my leg once. I stood there with both hands on the crutch grip, and I felt something in my chest go very, very quiet. The lobby moved around me. Wheelchairs, rolling carts, the overhead calling names, the entire machinery of the ordinary afternoon grinding forward, indifferent, uninterrupted, as if nothing had happened, as if I were a fixture, a post driven into the ground, something that had simply always been standing here and required no explanation. I looked at Vivian. She was already looking at me. I knew that look. I had first seen it years ago, in a university courtyard, Ethan calling her name in front of everyone, reaching for her hand, and Vivian standing in the center center of all that attention with this exact expression, unhurried, unshakable, the absolute effortless composure of someone who has never once doubted the outcome. She wasn't gloating, she didn't need to. The look said everything with the economy of someone who had never needed to raise her voice. You drove yourself into the ground for 11 days. You bled on the asphalt. You called him 6 times. When he ran to me.